Hello, friends. Alicia earns $48,000 a year teaching ninth grade math in Ohio. She's been juggling a $620 monthly student loan bill for nearly a decade, until last week. Now, after the new 2025 rules kicked in, her payment dropped to just $215 a month. Not because of some viral TikTok hack, not because she refinanced, just because she understood a law that most people haven't even heard of. And she's not alone. Millions of borrowers are still paying like it's 2019, stuck in outdated plans, compounding interest, and payment plans that never seem to end. But a growing group is quietly escaping the trap, slashing their payments by half, even seeing tens of thousands forgiven. No headline, no celebration, just relief. The difference between the two? One heard the promise, the other didn't. This video is for those who haven't. Because on July 4th, 2025, a federal law quietly went into effect. It's called the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. The name might sound like political fluff, but behind the scenes, it has rewritten how student loans work in America. We're not here to hype. We're not here to scare. We're here to explain, clearly, factually, and step by step, how these new rules could save you thousands, and what you need to do before it's too late. You see, student debt isn't just about dollars. It's about dignity. It's about 45 million Americans holding a collective $1.6 trillion in loans. It's about graduates working 2 jobs, parents co-signing loans they can't repay, and seniors having their Social Security garnished for degrees they earned 30 years ago. The real problem? The old system rewarded those who could navigate bureaucracy, refinance strategically, or access employer perks. Everyone else, left behind. But now, 2025 has flipped that script. From new income caps to forgiveness timelines that are actually reachable, the One Big Beautiful Bill Act is the most sweeping student debt reform since the introduction of the 401k. And yet, so few are talking about it. We will. So if you've got debt, if you're scared of garnishment letters, if you're sick of paying hundreds every month and getting nowhere, this is your chance to reset, to learn what's changed, to see real case studies like Alicia's, and to discover 3 simple steps that could put you back in control. Because the promise wasn't advertised, but it's real, and if you don't take advantage of it, someone else will. To understand why these new student loan rules matter so much, we have to rewind the tape. Back to the system most Americans were trapped in before 2025. By early 2024, student loan debt in the U.S. had reached a staggering $1.6 trillion. That's more than the GDP of Australia. And behind that number were over 45 million borrowers, each carrying the invisible weight of promises that never delivered. According to a 2023 report by Research.com and the New York Times, the average federal loan payment ranged between $400 and $600 per month. That's before taxes, rent, groceries, insurance. Now imagine making that payment while also working a job that pays less than $50,000 annually. For millions, this wasn't hypothetical. It was reality. Then came the COVID pause. In 2020, payments were frozen. For 3 years, many borrowers got a brief taste of financial breathing room. But that grace period ended abruptly in late 2023. Suddenly, payments resumed, without inflation-adjusted income caps, and often with accrued interest waiting to be added on top. And it wasn't just about paying what you owed. If you missed too many payments, your wages could be garnished, your tax refund seized, your credit destroyed, and all of this for a degree that was supposed to be your ticket to upward mobility. A CBS News investigation from early 2024 revealed that nearly 1 in 4 borrowers had made 0 progress on their loan balances after 5 years of consistent payments. Interest accumulation and poor plan guidance had turned student loans into lifelong debt traps. The anxiety was real. Borrowers would check their balances every month, only to see them grow. And the saddest part, most people weren't doing anything wrong. They'd followed the rules, gone to college, took out federal loans like they were told, tried to repay, But the system was built on self-reliance without real support. A system that said, "You're on your own." Compare that to countries like Germany, where higher education is tuition-free, or Sweden, where repayment is linked to actual income and capped automatically, or even Australia, where payments don't kick in until you earn above a national threshold. In the US, most borrowers were left with a monthly bill and a confusing website. And that's where we stood before 2025, a generation gasping for air. That's why the new reforms weren't just overdue, they were essential. Because when a system burdens its people without a map, a reform isn't just policy, it's rescue. And now, with the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, that rescue has begun. So next, let's break it down clearly and simply. What exactly changed? And how do these changes affect you? Let's cut through the headlines and get real about the single most important shift in the U.S. student loan system in the last decade. The One Big Beautiful Bill Act, signed into law on July 4th, 2025. At its core, this law is not just a policy update, it's a system redesign. For years, critics pointed out that the U.S. student loan program relied heavily on personal initiative, often leaving borrowers to navigate a maze of repayment plans, obscure forgiveness rules, and fine print that could destroy a financial future. The 2025 Act flips the lens, from complexity to clarity, from punishment to protection. So what changed? For starters, the Act introduced annual caps on borrowing, $50,000 for students in professional programs, like medicine or law, and $20,500 for those in undergraduate or non-professional paths. These limits are not retroactive, but they reshape borrowing moving forward. Why is that important? Because many graduate students previously left school with $200,000 plus in debt, often without knowing what their monthly payments would look like until after graduation. The cap makes future loan loads more predictable and survivable. Next, the Act restructured the income-based repayment, IBR, system. Under the old model, borrowers paid 10 to 15% of their discretionary income, often for 20 to 25 years before qualifying for forgiveness. Now, the payments are capped at 5 to 7% for most borrowers, and forgiveness can kick in after as little as 10 years for certain professions. That includes public service workers, nurses, social workers, and even some freelancers if they meet certain stability and income criteria. And let's not forget the consolidation of repayment plans. Before this law, there were over 8 federal repayment plans. The new system shrinks that down to 3, Standard, IBR, and Save. This helps remove confusion, but more importantly, it stops penalizing those who picked the wrong plan and got stuck with ballooning interest. What's behind the scenes is just as important. Stronger oversight on loan servicers, automatic income verification systems, so you don't lose IBR eligibility by missing paperwork, and a student loan ombudsman team expanded to help resolve borrower disputes in real time. According to CBS News and CNBC reports, these changes are expected to benefit over 6 million borrowers directly by 2026. In fact, the U.S. Department of Education predicts a 22% decrease in average lifetime loan payments for borrowers who enter repayment after 2025. Bottom line, this law doesn't erase debt. It recalibrates the system, finally treating student loans like a financial planning issue, not a life sentence. And for millions still stuck in the old system, it's a wake-up call, because the window to switch plans or consolidate under the new rules won't stay open forever. To really understand the impact of the 2025 changes, let's leave theory behind and step into the real world. Because numbers speak louder when they come with a face and a story. Meet Jasmine, a 31-year-old public school teacher in Georgia, earning $48,000 a year. Before the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, she was enrolled in an older income-based repayment, IBR plan. Her discretionary income was calculated at around $26,000, and she was paying 10% of that annually, totaling about $2,600 per year or $216 monthly. She had a $42,000 loan, and with that payment schedule, forgiveness would only apply after 20 years. Add interest, and she was on track to pay nearly $58,000 total, $16,000 more than she borrowed. Now let's flip the timeline. After switching to the new 2025 IBR plan, her payment rate dropped to 5% of discretionary income. Her monthly payment fell to about $108, and under the new plan, she qualifies for full forgiveness in 10 years, thanks to her public service job. That's a savings of over $13,000 in monthly payments alone, and the forgiven amount after 10 years is also no longer considered taxable income under the new law. Now consider Ray, a 29-year-old freelance designer based in Austin, Texas. He earns about $65,000 a year, but his income is variable. He had $65,000 in student loans for a design program that promised a high return. But like many freelancers, he struggled with consistency in payments. Under the old system, Ray was locked into a fixed monthly payment of nearly $600. If he missed a few, interest would pile up. Refinancing meant losing federal protections. Post-2025, Ray moved to the new SAVE plan, a simplified repayment structure. His payment fluctuates with his income, and his loan servicer uses IRS-linked income data to adjust payments automatically. His average monthly payment is now around $230, and if his income dips during a slow month, it adjusts downward automatically. Plus, he now qualifies for partial forgiveness after 15 years, even as a freelancer. These stories aren't outliers. They reflect a broader trend. According to a 2025 report by the U.S. Department of Education, over 2.3 million borrowers saw their payments halve within the first 3 months of the new rules taking effect. And more than 30% of eligible borrowers still haven't applied to switch plans. The point? This law has real-world application, but only if you act. Let's face it, when it comes to student loans, TikTok has become a modern oracle. Type student loan forgiveness into the app and you'll see hundreds of creators promising secret hacks, hidden forms, and magical debt erasure methods. Some even say, just wait, it'll all be canceled. But let's cut through the noise and get to the truth, because misinformation right now is costing people thousands. No, he's not. While the One Big Beautiful Bill Act offers real relief, it's structured, targeted, and conditional. Full blanket forgiveness. That's off the table for now. What you do get is revised repayment plans, faster forgiveness for some professions, and caps on annual repayment. But waiting means missing out on lower payments or even forgiveness windows that are already counting down. As CNBC noted in July 2025, borrowers who delay switching plans may find themselves paying more for longer, simply because they were misinformed. Wrong. Qualification depends on a loan type: direct loans, FFEL, private loans don't count, employment, public versus private sector, repayment plan enrollment, years of consistent payment. If you don't check the boxes, you don't get the benefit. And that TikTok creator with a green screen? Likely not a Department of Education employee. Many borrowers rushed to refinance during 2023 to 2024 to lock in lower interest rates. But in doing so, they gave up federal protections, like access to the new IBR plan, forgiveness programs, and interest caps. According to StudentLoanPlanner.com, over 300,000 borrowers may have lost eligibility for 2025 savings simply by refinancing early. The new plans require borrowers to recertify their income annually. Miss that window, and your payment could reset to the standard 10-year repayment plan, which is often the highest. Automation has improved in 2025, but borrowers must still monitor their status through studentaid.gov or their loan servicers portal. Avoid financial advice from non-certified influencers. Stick to trusted resources. U.S. Department of Education, CBS News, CNBC. Use the loan simulator from studentaid.gov to run your specific numbers. Sign up for official updates and newsletters about student loan changes. There's more misinformation about student loans today than ever before, and it's costing people real money. Mark Kantrowitz, student loan expert, 2025. These traps are real, but so is the opportunity. With the right knowledge and action, you can sidestep the myths and build a path to real savings.